Dream again. Please don't give up on your future.
Oh, Kaylin.
Kaylin, where you at, bro?
Right. And because he's sitting in the corner twisting his hair.
You got some growth? You got some hang time? What's up?
He ain't got that hang time. It's crazy that you've transitioned in locks 2 or 3 different times over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like from the plaits to the.
Yeah. Well, you were the only. You were the first person I met that tried. I think you tried to do it. My mama said no, but you were the first person I felt comfortable. People always ask me oh, you a Rasta? I didn't grow up. My mom didn't play no Bob Marley.
No, right.
I was not into. And then when people come and talk to me like, "Well, I'm like, bro,
No, I ain't got that.
Yeah, no. It was because I saw Big Daddy Kane on Rap City talking to whatever, Chris Thomas, and he had little twists. And that's the first time I ever seen something like that. And I said, I just knew, like in my soul, I was like,
yeah.
And you were the only person that I knew. I knew you knew enough about hair.
Yeah.
So I said, wait till we get to, was it Pomona? I was like, wait till we get, I'm going to ask Steve. I'm going to ask Steve to do it. And then I think you translated, because I didn't have the vocabulary to describe it.
I remember that.
To an older woman.
I remember
so you describe it to my mom.
Because mom's was like,
yeah.
We're not doing that. She didn't know what that was.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I was like, okay, he gonna explain it to her. And then she, it's like one of the black mama, oh yeah. No, we're not doing that. And then you don't comb it?
But like, and it's what are we supposed to do with it? How do you deal with it every day?
Yeah.
Well, you just kind of finger. No, we're not fingering it. We're not doing that. Pause. We're not doing. No, we're not doing that.
You explained to her, and she understood it. Okay,
yeah,
that's what because like kids, I was talking something in the backseat. Probably like my son tried to talk to me on Fortnite. She's like, V-Bucks, what twist? What you? Huh? Big Daddy who? So I told you, you were my filter,
right?
Because you're like between the generations. I was like, please, big homie, tell her. And she said, nah.
So this is how we jumping off. This is Life Interrupts Us, the podcast. I'm Stephen Wayne, the storyteller. Storytelling coming to life. I'm sitting with my little bro. Most of y'all who will watch this will know him and recognize him. His name is Murs. But I knew him when he had just a government name.
Yeah.
I've known him since he was, 8 or 9 or 7?
Yeah, something like
a little boy. And we family. And so we go way back, and today we're just talking. We're just talking about the journey of the creative. This young man is super, he ain't young. He got more gray hair than I do. This grown man is a super creative. And I've always been proud of what you've done. And the fact that you built it on your own. That more than anything else, that has been the thing that I've been most proud of. I don't drop your name often, because I'm not in the hip hop world. But for every time that I am, I do drop your name. And people are like, you know Murs for real? And I pull up my phone and be like, don't try to screenshot his phone number. And I'm like, oh my God, he knows Murs. But this platform is about storytelling. So I'm going to tell a story, a quick one.
Yeah, please.
And then we're just going to jump into what we're talking about. So we're sitting at BJ's in West Covina. And I hadn't seen you in a handful of years, because you guys had moved from Glendora to LA, and mom wasn't coming out, getting her hair done as often, and a lot of transitions were happening in your lives. And we got together, and I said, hey man, let's go to lunch. So we meet at BJ's. And my cousin, Sharp,
yeah, Sharp.
Sharp is telling me, you know Murs? Oh man, that dude is like, he like the king of the streets. And I'm like, just how ignorant I was. I didn't even know that hip hop had an underground scene that was as big as it was, until we were sitting in that BJ's, and one of the servers walked over to the table and said, aren't you Murs? And you was like, yeah, man, you just, you always been so humble and low key. Like, yeah. can I get your autograph? What? You want this nigga's autograph? I was like, are you serious? Are you like that? And you was just like, yeah, whatever they say, man. I've always loved that about you. Your humility should be contagious. But in the industry so filled with snakes and vipers, it's not always contagious. Sometimes it's turned against. But we, you know, obviously we've already had a really lengthy, heavy conversation off camera about some stuff that we're not going to get into on here. But just the fact that I know, because because this is why I didn't tell you. So after that day, because I was talking to another friend of mine, and I was talking about how I'm a music historian. I'm the guy who would buy the CD or the cassette, and before I listen to the music, I read the jacket. I want to know who did what. I want to see if there are any names I recognize. And no matter what the genre, R&B, hip hop, gospel, whatever. And so that day, after we left BJ's, I was like, oh my God, my little brother is the man. I was proud, but I was mad. I was like, why didn't I know that? Why didn't I know? And I didn't know it because you have majored in the underground. And so for me, I would have thought, okay, well, the way these people are acting, he should be the Jay-Z's of the world. And so when I went home, because you gave me an album, and I went home and I looked at the jacket and read all the names and studied the jacket. And then internet back then was way more limited in terms of Google was Google, but it wasn't the Google that it is now. But still, I went on there and started researching, and your name was coming up all over the place. And I was like, wow, he really is that dude. I was like, oh my God. And so I don't know that I've ever told you, but I'm gonna tell you today, in case I haven't. I am very proud to be family with you. I'm very proud to be a man who has known your journey, has seen your journey, and all of the transitions, everything, the Arizonas and all of the transitions. And I think you're really cool, man. I think you're really cool. You're a loving dad and a husband, a loving husband, and you love God and you love people, and that's rare, man. You don't get a lot of that. So I'm just glad you're here. Thank you. I said all that to say thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming.
Me being here is me attempting to thank you for everything you've done. And I don't know if this is going to be an interview because...
Well, it's not. It's a conversation.
But I don't know if it's going to be a conversation because I just want to formally and on tape, like, really thank you for being who you were in my life. Recently, you did something for your mother, and I wasn't able to go because we had some family drama that you're a little bit privy to. You know what I mean? And
Sure,
I just couldn't.
sure.
And I was flying out that day, and I just didn't have the time to text. And like now, like I'm in the trenches. Like I got a 22-month-old, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 12-year-old, all boys, and I'm the sole provider.
Yeah.
And we homeschool, so it's just my days are so. And I wanted to apologize because your mother, and I could cry. Like it was like. My mother was in a very, very, very bad relationship.
Yeah.
And the pastor at our church didn't know how to tell her. He told her, I've never in my 50, or I think it was 40 years of being a pastor at that point, God bless him, was like, I've never told a woman to leave a man because that's not what the Bible said.
Right.
He was like, you got to get you and your kids out of there. And my mom, being my mom, like I gave her an ultimatum. One day we were in our jacuzzi in Glendora, and I just got to see my father's side of the family. My father disappeared when I was 3. I didn't hear from him until I was 14. He was dying. And my aunt over there, I told her what was going on at home, and she said, you could come live with us. So me having to be the man of our house for so long was like, told my mom, I said, okay, he's inside right now getting whatever, getting high, getting drunk. We got another night to endure coming up, but me feeling that, and I guess feeling that anxiety from the night that I knew we were about to have,
Yeah.
was like, I'm taking my brother, and we're leaving you if you don't leave him.
Wow.
And because she had been going to you to get your hair done, and you know the stigma around mental health and psychology and psychiatrists in our community.
Yeah.
My mother said, give me a chance. And also, is for her, my family is so rooted in God,
right,
that my mother wouldn't have gone to a psychologist or trusted a psychologist that wasn't rooted in the world anyway. And I think they write us off a lot of times, but I think we're such a spiritual people. It's like, I don't want to tell intimate things about my soul to someone who's rooted in words and not the word.
In intellect.
Yeah.
You're so smart, you're dumb.
Yes.
Like...
So, but your mother being both
I
made my mother comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's a quick story, because then she was like, through that, your mother sat with this man was a nut.
Yes.
And even as I grew to find respect and love for him, like, he wasn't the type of, excuse my French, I'm gonna so you can bleep it out. He wasn't the type of nigga that like just beat up on women. He was just a violent man. Yeah. In general. Yeah. You know, your mother sat with that man.
I remember that.
You know, and told him what was what. But in such a holy and divine place that even him he left. You know, you try to put hands on your mama, you know, and not that I would have like stood for that, or, you know, I would have tried, I would have got whooped, but it was that her strength and dedication to our family, that once he stopped coming to, because she was like, I'm not going to leave him because my mother is rooted in the words. I'm going to try to work it out. Right. And she's old school black, and my grandmother's old school. You don't leave him.
No. Yeah.
And then we come from, like, and that's another thing too, is a lot of niggas, you know, I'm a weirdo, but I grew up in the hood. Yep. And so, like, coming from where we come from, you better not leave that man. He got a job working for the school district.
Yeah.
Y'all got a jacuzzi in the pool.
Had a nice house.
Ain't no niggas on your block, you know.
Yep. None. Glendora.
Yeah. I'm fighting, you know, getting called a nigger, and I'm knocking niggas out. Like, I'm in the thick of, you know, all because we have a better life. And she wasn't supposed to leave him. So she said, I'll go to therapy with him. And when he took off and stopped coming, then I think your mother had more grounds to tell her to do what her pastor already told her she should have been done. Yeah. What I told her she had been done, but it took your mother, and like, I'm gonna jump all around with the phrase. When I had my nervous breakdown when I was 23, I knew it was okay to go to a mental health professional, because I saw my mama do it, and I saw someone do it correctly with your mother do it right with my mom. Right. Because when my first marriage failed, I went to marriage therapy, and it was with a weirdo, and it didn't work. But if that would have been my first experience, because that's how great God is, it's just we wouldn't have went there. Right. I wouldn't have went there. I was on pills, and I was on all this stuff. Not pop. I wasn't popping, but they put me on medication. And my body stopped working. I'll leave it at that. And I was like, you know, I was on tour for. I was going to do a 35-day tour. Then I had so much fun. It was a 60-day tour, so I want to stay on. And I had made friends with everybody. But my medication ran out. And I told my doctor, I was like, before I go on the road, I need you to know I'm a musician. I'm going to call you. I'm going to have to call you and get my scripture filled. I said, okay, and this is how you wean yourself off if it's going to be a couple of days before I can get to your, you know, because this is before you had a 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐿 app. Right. So it's before I can fax the prescription to a pharmacy.
I gotta go find a fax machine. Yeah, somebody give me a fax machine. Like, now it'd be like, what? What's a fax?
Yeah,
like fax, like fax. No, not like fax.
Not like fax, but it's a thing where you said paper and the phone tells you print paper phone.
Why? Why can you just text? Like, shut up.
They'll just email your prescription.
Wait till the zombie apocalypse. You're gonna find a fax machine. You'll be like, I found one. We can use it.
Let me find out The Walking Dead needed a fax machine.
Come on.
Oh man. Yeah, so that I got dope sick. Like, I was coming off heroin. I went to the bathroom on myself. I had the shakes. I was vomiting. and my homie had to carry me to the ER, and thank God for Canada. I was in the ER, and they gave me the IV and everything so I can make it to the next show. But it took me like a week to get right because that man would not send my medication. And so when I got home, I was like, I'm not going back on the field. I was like, oh, they want a nigga to do group therapy. So I'm gonna stand in a group full of non-black people and tell them my problems,
right,
or my issues that don't really exist. And it was the best thing for me because my psychologist was like, you don't need one-on-one. You need group therapy. And you need CBT. You need cognitive behavior therapy. And I had worksheets. But because of your mother, I trusted in the science.
Yeah, you saw it done right.
And so that,
because more times than not, I mean, we've been experimenting on.
Yes.
So we don't trust doctors of almost any kind, and that's why 40-year-old black men even now are still dropping dead, because we still culturally and systemically we still don't trust the medical profession because we have healthy paranoia.
Yeah,
it's earned.
Yeah, well founded.
You have done some stuff to us, and who's to say you're not trying to do something now? So like, I feel you. That's crazy. That's crazy, Murs. That's crazy.
So that, like, I want you to know, like, when I couldn't do that for your mother, it really was a thing for me, and I didn't know how to express that to you via text. And for me, I can't talk on the phone without as soon as I get on the phone, everybody got something to say to me. It's the most frustrating. It doesn't make me the best parent, because now I understand. Back in the day, your mom had a phone like, y'all better shut up in there,
right?
But my kids are not 100% raised black, so that don't always work. Me raising my voice ain't gonna do much of
the bicultural experience.
Yeah, so I was like, I just don't talk on the phone a lot, and I don't think a lot of my homies understand. It's like, I don't get a lot of quiet moments. And the quiet moments I do get to use the phone, I gotta do my business calls because I can't take. So I wanted just to tell you that, like, that hurt my heart not to be able to do that, because your mother is a great woman, and she's impacted my brother's life, my mother's life, and my life as an adult.
Wow. That's powerful.
And then you always being the hip hop filter, being you're like at the top of my generation. Now I'm getting old. We are the same generation because of technology.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put myself at your level of wisdom, but we're the same generation. And so you were able, like I told my mom, like, she's coming, like, she got older. She didn't know what she was leaving us to. I was a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
But a latchkey kid on, in Midtown Los Angeles, or just, is different. In Linwood, California, is different.
Yeah.
She didn't know. She thought, oh, okay, there's a gang fight. Somebody might get hit with a chain or a bat, stabbed. I was like, Mama. So as we grew up, she was like, whatever.
Was out of control.
Yeah, she was like, whatever happened to, oh, he dead, or he doing life, or she's like, him that used to, yep. She's like, I didn't know it was like that. And I was like, of course you wouldn't have let us, you wouldn't have been able to go to work and work till 6 p.m. if you really knew what was going on. But you kind of like, and not that you educated her, but I think you helped validate a lot of what I was going through.
Yeah.
And, because you're part therapist too, by having a mother who's a therapist, but any hairdresser, stripper, any, like, all these people in our community have to be therapists.
Right. Yes.
They're hearing a lot. If you deal intimately with black men or women, and that's, I think that's why the nail techs don't admit they spit as much English as they do. Because
they don't want to be bothered.
They don't want to be. They don't have a real problem.
They can smile and do the little sing laugh that they do without having to actually answer and inject some information.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Like, right. It's like, didn't you hear me? I'm like, I know. Yeah.
And you got to keep a track of all these clients,
all these different people with all these different problems.
You're doing your art
while I'm doing my job.
Yeah, not even, but it's an art.
Yeah,
because doing hair the way you did hair was art, and like that too is like having my hair cut well for so many years. It's also,
I did used to cut your hair.
People look like this, like, because I got tired of, like, I'd be on tour and I go, like, I get to Houston, and being from LA, I'm not scared of nobody neighborhood or nothing.
Right.
So I'm like, where the 9th Ward at? Where the 3rd Ward at? I'm in Houston. Where the 3rd Ward? I heard Bum B say UGK said 3rd Ward. That's why I know I need to get a haircut and get some barbecue. Where we going? I'll get a cab. This is before Uber, or get on the train or the bus and just, what's up? And I'll go in and get a barbecue. But when you don't have that's when I started, like, when you don't have an appointment and when you're not from there,
right,
niggas will throw you in that open chair.
Yeah,
And I
that
got
open
tired of
chair
my
could
life.
be an experience.
Yeah, so I'm so used to having a pristine fade.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Yeah.
ain't about to, I can't maintain this fade. So it's not a, you know, so I was part of, so that's another way you impacted me. And then when my ex-wife, we were walking down, I had become such a refined version of myself.
Hmm.
And I don't think, like, my ex-wife, like, was not a day one. She, you know, she didn't know me before rap.
Right.
And before, you know, before I had become a new person. And she was just, we were walking up the street. Because we lived, when we were living in Midtown, it's still like we had to park down the street, walk up the street. I parked down the street, you had parked down. I don't know. I didn't even know if you were coming up. We walked up and you said, being funny, like, I don't even think you said hello. You said, Nick, what's up? When's the last time you socked somebody or something? And my wife was like, my ex-wife was like,
who is he talking about?
He was at one time violent.
She don't know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she don't know you.
I had to do a lot of explaining.
That was crazy, bro. Oh man, that was crazy.
I was like, I hadn't seen my bro in a year, and he just blew up my whole. I don't say I created, you know, but to me it was never necessary to tell people.
Yeah.
You know, and I mention it here and there in my music, but it's not the foundation of my art,
right.
or the crux of who I am. And it was really, that was another moment. And then finally, the most important thing, I've said a lot of important things, but
all of it.
You are the only person in the church, because I'm a early 90s baby, so you know,
right.
Chuck D had more. I had no business not eating pork in the 4th grade, but I thought Chuck D had all the answers.
Sure.
No disrespect to Chuck.
Sure.
But there were some things that I needed to figure out on my own, that rap force. A lot of people talk about the impact gangster rap had, but like it really challenged my belief in the word, and also because the church wasn't doing its job. So the church
Still
was failing me
in a lot of ways,
and
still isn't in a lot of ways.
And so I was like, oh, well, what about Farrakhan? Well, what about the 5%? What about Rastafari? What about the Holy Tabernacle Ministries of Dr. York? I went off into so much.
Yeah.
And you never judged me, but you asked the most important question. And what's that question?
How's your relationship?
Bruh.
How's your relationship?
That didn't resonate with me until I was 44. I'm 46. A couple years ago.
Yeah.
It really hit me, because I was like, how is it that I'm on my 2nd marriage, and now I know better than to share what's going on in my marriage with anyone. So it's like, because that's an intimate relationship.
Yep.
So if I don't want any input on what goes on with my wife, how much more intimate is my relationship with the Creator? Why would I accept anyone, especially not when we couldn't read?
Right.
Cool, but I can read this book just like that man could read it. I probably read at a higher level, being that I was a Gate magnet student.
Yeah, you were very smart. You were off the charts smart.
This book, and now we got AI. I was like, why do I need somebody to tell me?
Right.
He's speaking to me spiritually, and if I need to do the intellectual work, I can do that on my own.
Yeah.
And this man right here always asks me, how's my what?
Relationship.
Because it's the most important relationship. And I was too busy with other people telling me how to run my marriage that it discouraged me from having a relationship at all with the one true God. And that, when that hit me, I was like, I don't, you know, and then it takes it hit different. I should have called you, but I call propaganda a lot, or D1s, all my little Christian homies.
Yeah.
I was like, my nigga, Take 6, Canaan Land is one of the coldest diss songs. I said, my nigga said, if my mother don't go, I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
See, for a black man to say that on the radio,
you gonna leave your mama?
I said, fuck, hit him up. Fuck. Tupac said, I had sex with your wife, and not in those words.
Right.
You overweight individual.
Right.
That was cold. I thought that was the coldest thing I heard. As my relationship grew, I said the coldest shit I heard on the record is Take 6 said, and they had the nerve to say, if my mother don't go, I'm on my way. I said, bro, and we were talking about all the rap stuff earlier. I said, don't none of these niggas know how to get to heaven. And if they do, that's their business.
Right.
They can't tell me how to get there, even if they know they going.
Right.
It's for me to figure out. So what I care about what anybody say about who did what to who likes little girls, who has a small shoe. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
My life has gotten so much, and I got 4 little people
Yeah.
that I'm responsible for
Yeah.
being at least as good as you were to me and encouraging a relationship. I don't gotta drag them to church every Sunday like my mother did, because that ruined my relationship.
It often does.
But at the same time, it gave me a foundation. So I'm not mad at it.
Sure.
And it wasn't,
seeds were planted.
yeah, she took me to the right place.
Yeah,
The people
seeds were
in
planted.
that place.
Yeah.
And she wasn't hearing me when I was telling her, because the streets changed from her generation to our generation.
Drastically.
The church changed.
Yeah.
Like we went to a church is still there, Liberty Hill Baptist Church.
Yeah, I
Bascom.
remember that. I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So but in Florida, there's another hill. I'm sorry. There's Liberty Hill, and then my grandfather grew up. But that's where we come from. Like that was church.
Yeah.
It ain't the same. When you get to LA, these churches ain't. And so I never.
Because that was it Pasadena?
Yeah, we got to.
Yeah.
I won't say the name of that church, but
Yeah.
Liberty Hill's the church my grandfather goes to. But the church in Pasadena, I was just like, and that was another thing too, is like growing up in Linwood, like I wasn't allowed to. My mom didn't let me see colors because I was already cousin my mom in the 3rd grade. She wasn't about to like, you can see Purple Rain. It wasn't a thing about rated R movies. I could see Commando, but she's like, there's no way I'm going to let my son see some propaganda about something that him and his friends is really going through. I went to pick him up from a sleepover. I seen a shotgun. Like it's like these are things I was really living, and she stayed in a bad relationship to get us to Glendora. And that 3 years saved my life. And she has a lot of guilt or remorse.
Carries it.
Yeah, and I'm
that's
like,
tough.
I was like that.
You're a parent now,
Yeah, I'm like that saved my life, mama. Whatever we went through those 3 years, I lived through it.
Yeah,
and it gave me perspective, because I would be gone. I'd be out of here if I didn't get to go live with white people and go to comic book stores and ride skateboards.
it gave you balance.
Yeah, I'm like, the kid told me you got a trampoline. I was like, you got a trampoline at your. Like my grandma had a trampoline, like the 80s one, like Suzanne Summers. I thought you with that. I went to this bank. I was like, y'all got like, this is an amusement park.
Right.
Like, what? We play 2-hand
trampoline
touch.
and a skate ramp.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? But that gave me perspective, because when she had to leave and we had to come back to the hood.
You brought it with you.
And I was like, okay.
You brought it with you.
Life isn't just this.
Yeah, because if you hadn't brought it with you, that neighborhood, as much as you guys lived on a nice street, that neighborhood would have consumed you.
And that's why my mom didn't know. She like, I work on Central and Adams.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the hood.
Yeah, no, it was all the hood.
And I was like, but the white people have done such a good job at genocide. Like, I know dudes who are killers with both their parents as doctors.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like your black identity became tied to gang culture.
Yep.
And when I got to Glendora, I was meeting kids that was, trying to gangbang. I'm like, bro,
you ain't about that.
You were born and raised there. I was like,
you don't know nothing about that life.
Let's ride bikes, bro. Let's hang out.
Right.
With
Let's
the
just
white
have
boys.
some fun.
Yeah, like what y'all doing?
Let's just have some fun.
I was like, and you could play it with them, but don't play that with me, because I really come from what you think. Because the color of your skin does not entitle you to any amount of fear in my heart.
Right.
I'll knock you out. Don't play that with me. And why would you want, like, bro, like let's you heard of Wolverine? You heard of the X-Men? Like, bro, I was like, there's a place where I go and buy baseball cards in the Beckett and like
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, bro, we never heard of none of this shit where I come from, bro. Like and then I wasn't aware of. I had no point of reference. It gave me perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I was like, now I'm looking like, oh, like we used to get our haircut right across the street from the Nickersons, like right by the 110. Cause like my stepdad was in the like he.
Yeah.
Like I was like, he wasn't one of those like weirdos that just beat. Like he was just a street nigga for real, like just outside. So every weekend we was.
His favorite drink was dark.
Yeah, at the projects, like getting our haircut, like. But that wasn't a thing to me. I didn't know it was a nigga. I didn't know Watts, Compton, Watts, Lynn. It was just where we went.
Yeah. And
so when I got the perspective, I came back and encountering Klansmen and real skinheads. I didn't.
Oh yeah, in Glendora. Yeah.
Then I got back to LA. I was like, we all black. Like you don't understand that 30 minutes from here, there are people that want to kill us just because we're black. And now I feel safe on a bus full of black people, but I'm not safe. Because now I got to take this bus through 3 different hoods.
And everybody want to know what's that you claim.
I'm like, and I tell
Which is
people,
my favorite song, by the way.
oh, thank you, man. But yeah, I was like, I was telling them this on Instagram, I cut it off, but I was like, man, I used to take the bus from Hamilton in West LA to Central and Adams. You know how many different hoods I had to go through to go to clean people's clothes? To help my uncle close up the cleaners?
Yeah.
Like, I don't got time for none of y'all foolishness. And that also can distract you from your relationship. Because I really think that the powers that be that want to keep us separated also want to keep our community disconnected from the higher power. And when you're focused on survival, the great thing about God is that he's going to forgive you.
Yeah.
Because at least he knows, he sees the evil that they do. Because you don't have time to focus on your relationship. If you do, you're a great person.
Yeah. Life, as they say, life be lifing.
Life be lifing, bro.
And something interesting, I was talking to somebody the other day. He loves us. And you're a father. I'm a father. I love my kids. And it won't matter what they ever do. The worst that they could do will never, ever change my love for them. Sure, are you disappointed when they don't do what they're supposed to do? Of course, but the account that disappointment sits in pales in comparison to the account that love is in. The love account is overflowing.
That helped me so much.
Yeah,
When I became a father.
Yeah, it gives you perspective,
bro. I was like
real perspective.
Because like when I was into like all the pro-black religions or cults, and I was just like, well, how does God get angry, and why does God? Like,
now you know. Sit down. Yeah. Tired of talking to you. I'm like, that's what that feels
Father,
like.
Sometimes you gotta do that with me.
He's not a loving father. He is the loving father.
Come on.
There's a passage of scripture, I don't know the reference offhand. He says, how is it that evil men can give good gifts to their children? How much more do you think I will give to you? If even evil men do good by their children, y'all are mine. I'm gonna love you in a way that you can't even comprehend it. It don't even make sense. I'm gonna send my son. I'm not giving up none of my kids for nobody. Don't even come on, man.
That was
so the love thing is so big that it's like, okay, there's not a mistake that I can make that will cause that account to be overdrawn. Not a single one. He's just sitting waiting. I got time.
Yeah. I got time.
Matter of fact, I am time.
Bro.
So I'll just wait. Because at the appropriate time, you're gonna come to yourself. You're gonna need to go through some stuff. But when you come to yourself, you're gonna look back at that stuff and go, okay, that stuff fortified me. It stung. But yeah. Cap Clothing, aka Cap LA, aka Knowledge and Persistence. Established in 2018, Cap is a clothing company based out of the Los Angeles, California area.
When the kids say cringe every day, when I started to, we talked about other rappers and stuff, and what really gave me perspective as I got my relationship right. Mm-hmm. Like when they say, like, I don't have time to think about what you have a problem with me for or why I got a problem.
Yeah.
I got problems with and every day when I look at myself, I do so much cringe. Like the kids say cringe stuff in the eyes of Heavenly Father.
And cringe.
Yeah. I was like, I know if he could feel that, I feel that embarrassment every day of something I said or did in my house.
That's good though. That's good, Murs. That's good.
And when you say humility, like
you're aware.
Yes, being self-aware. But I guess because people say being self-aware, and that's like all these new age terms.
Yeah,
the universe, but it's deeper
they're speaking
than self-aware.
Metaphysically.
Yeah.
No,
like,
really,
you really know
eyes
of my father
that you just said something that was out of line.
Yeah,
and you know it was out of line. Instead of, I'm gonna have to think about whether or not that was the best thing. I want to slap you.
Yeah,
you know it was wrong. What you just did or said or thought was wrong.
Man, yeah,
Man, you a trip, bro.
So yeah, like that. So
You a trip.
it was a long road to get to where I am now, and part of that was, my first marriage, and then when I got married, my wife now was, because I was right when I met my wife now.
Yeah.
But I wasn't right with God. I was right in fact, like I wasn't drinking. I went on tour and I was like, I'm not gonna have any sex on this tour. I had some young men I had signed to Warner Brothers there with me. I was like, I'm gonna set a good example. I was vegan, not drinking, not fornicating. And
you were holistic.
I met her on that tour, and I don't think she minds. But like the first night we met, there's a whole story behind it. But in the end, I was just doing this. I was doing this thing where I have a song called "The Pain," where Coleman sings on the hook
from
Little Brother.
Yeah. And with Foreign Exchange. Yeah.
Funny thing,
but I know both.
Yeah. That's what you were singing, dudes. Yeah. So Foreign Exchange has come around as a jam. So he sings on it, and I never had a song with singing on. So I was like, what I'm gonna do? So I was like, every night on this tour, even this tour, I'm being spiritually sound. I was like, I'm gonna make out with a different girl because it's a girl song. Because I'm a voyeur. I'm like like skateboard, like extreme life, everything. Like like when I was coming up, like they were like, hey, Murs, go slap that dude. We'll give you $25. All right, like.
Oh my God, yeah,
jump off the second story building into the pool. All right, like So I was like, all right, man.
God really loves you.
Yeah.
You should have been gone. Some of the stuff that you told me years ago that you was doing back then, you should have been gone.
Bro.
Should have been gone.
I said, all right, well, I'm gonna just kiss a different girl, but consensually.
Yes.
So we were in Virginia, and I was like, there's a lot of dudes here in Roanoke, Virginia tonight. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna skip this song. I said it I was like, it's a lot of dudes here. I usually do a song, but to do this song, I gotta make out with a girl, and I don't.
You would bring a girl up on stage?
I would just front to the front row or bring her up on stage and just full tongue kiss.
Oh.
Yeah, see?
Talk about cringe.
Yeah.
I mean, I love kissing like the next man, but strangers. So I need to at least know your last name.
So I was like, wow. But this was tame for me compared to what I
Yes. It was, yes.
So I was like, all right, well, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And then, no, I didn't even give the speech. I got to that song where it was divine to me. The beat, I finished the song, we usually go, I look back to my DJ to tell him, don't play that song because there's too many dudes in here.
Yeah.
And then some girl in the crowd goes, do the pain. And I look, and it's this tall girl, so I see her over there. I said, okay, then you have to make out with me if I do the song, because usually and then I gave her the speech, and she was like, and her friend was like, go. And so I was like, all right. So I did the song, we kissed. Now I've been doing this in multiple cities throughout the nation. Every night
you turned into a serial kisser. Posters everywhere. This man is wanted because he's kissing strangers. He kissed my daughter in Washington.
Yeah, exactly. Take the L's out, put 2 S, 2 L, 2 S.
Oh my God, so dude. You can't make this stuff up.
Oh yeah, I was serially kissing people. And I was, afterwards, I do what my friends call a petting zoo. I go to the merch booth and I just want to meet everybody. I love people. And I'm really grateful.
You're very good at that.
That's another thing too, as we talk about like dudes, like I always tell people like I'm really from the hood. Like I love these people. I don't care if they're white people. You rap for a bunch of white boys. And I'm not on the porch with y'all no more. Like
don't they know that still to this day 70% of hip hop is consumed by white people?
And I was like, these people love my music.
Your favorite rapper is your favorite rapper because of white people.
Yeah. So I was like, that's a whole nother. Yeah, I had Tyrese said that one because my man, we had the same manager for a second. And
Tyrese, single Tyrese.
Yeah, he was trying to get Tyrese to work with me, and so he put on the LA video where it was like he saw and Tyrese, when niggas would front on me because of my fan base, Tyrese was like, "You got a pop fan base, not an underground," because he doesn't see like you. Like he's from R&B world, he doesn't know underground rap. He's like, that's now he wants to work with me because he's like, I don't have people that look multi. And he knows that's where the money is.
That LA joint, man, God dog.
So he's like, okay. But those people, so I always go out and meet these people because I'm like, y'all don't know. And a lot of rappers say, if I wasn't rapping, I'm like, I know if it wasn't for this,
Yeah.
I'd be in a Cleaners in South Central, or someone would have said something to me, I would have went upside the wrong. I almost been shot in that Cleaners once for standing my ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what do you I don't know what y'all think. I'm gonna go out and shake everybody here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And y'all ain't gotta know I'm not gonna boost your white savior complex by telling you, but I made some art that resonates with you. You can see past the cultural divide to
Right.
So who am I to stay backstage on a bus
and they guys kids too.
Yes. So I'm like, I love meeting people.
Right.
So I'm out there doing I do that every night I can at the merch booth. Pre-COVID. You know what I'm saying? But like, because I don't want to get it and not be able to do my job.
Right.
But other than that, I'm kissing girls. I'm out there. So I'm taking a picture with 2 fans. This woman comes up, grabs my face, and kisses me back. Unprovoked.
Wait. Okay, wait. So you call the tall girl.
Yeah.
The tall girl comes
to
the stage.
She should.
You do pain and you kiss her. Do you do pain and then kiss, or do you kiss throughout pain?
No, I just the hook where Sfonte is singing, I'm making out with the girl.
So you kiss through every hook.
Yes.
So it's not just one kiss.
No, it's one kiss. That second hook, I just tell the girl like, thank you. This is not a sexual thing.
So you never, on that whole road trip, you never kissed one of them more than one? Like, ooh, she can really kiss those lips.
Yeah. I would say, come to the merch. I would tell them,
it was just science.
Come to the merch booth. I'll give you a free CD. You can pick out anything you want. Thank you for being a good sport. Okay. It's not going to go further than that.
But then you get to the merch booth and a different person.
No, this is still the girl I kissed. She's like, I'm getting my review. You put me on the spot. So I'm doing my job. She came in like, and I'm like, and she's taller than me. She's 5'10". She's like, come here, little boy. And I was like, I like you.
Oh my God.
And I told her, I never asked for any girls. I've been doing this every night, but give me your number.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this your wife?
This is my wife.
Oh my God.
And the trip is like, look at God, like, I got off my bus before the show even started. She came early with her friends, and her friends said, take a picture with them. We had a picture of the moment we met. And she just went in, and like, I wasn't on that on tour, so I wasn't like she was pretty, and she wasn't, like, once again too, like, people, like, when I first started dating, for real, a lot of black girls were like, oh, I thought you like white girls. I'm like, what? Because white people come to my show? I was like, no, I never dated a white girl, to be honest. Like,
wow.
And so she's not black. It's just, so I was like,
what is she?
She's Brazilian.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like,
that's a whole lot of other things.
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't even look twice. I wasn't like, ooh, who's that baddie I took a picture with at the beginning of the night? It just, I didn't even recognize her as the girl I took a picture with that I kissed in the crowd. Then she kissed me, and the boys I was on tour with, the young men I was on tour with, were like, they call me boss, because I was like, every night we would talk about Rasta stuff and drink soda. That was our wild out. And they're like, boss, what happened to the Brazilian girl? Oh no, I said, what happened? He said, what happened to that girl you kissed? Because they thought she was beautiful. She's a beautiful woman, but I wasn't.
Yeah, I've seen. She is beautiful.
Thank you. I'm lucky, but I wasn't into that.
Right.
So I was like,
right. No, it's never been a thing.
What we looking at as black men is something totally. So and also at my job, I just didn't look for romance like that, because those women that relate to my experience, weren't the women. I wasn't looking to marry into my fan base.
Right.
They couldn't understand me, which was,
right.
But, I didn't know this Brazilian girl was minoring in Africana studies, taught by Nikki Giovanni, took Black Church in America 2 semesters. Like,
wow.
Like, God was.
She heavyweight.
Yeah.
She heavyweight.
So I was like, like you said, and Brazilians are like the next place with most Africans outside of Africa is Brazil.
Yes.
So it's a very African culture.
There's a DNA connection.
So I was like, but I wasn't thinking none of that. Then afterwards, they're like, who's that girl, boss? And I was like, oh, some Brazilian girl. Brazilian? That's 100 points, bro. So then I got into my nigga head. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to show y'all little niggas how you do it. I'm going to call her. I didn't get no other girl's number the whole tour, but I got her. So I was like, called her.
Wow.
There's one cab in Roanoke.
Wow.
That cab ride, she went to Virginia Tech, and that's in Blacksburg. It's an $80 cab ride. I think he said there's one cab on duty. I'll send him to see if he'll want to take you. And she said, you can come to my door.
Was that 80 round trip?
80 one way.
Oh.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go just because the boys need to see me take something down. I'm gonna knock her off and then get back on the bus. Tell
Oh,
some
so
stories.
you plan to break your vow?
Yeah, cause I'm like, I gotta show them like one
Yeah.
night, like they gotta know what it's like on a. They're not taking a vow, like they're not where I am yet.
Yeah.
But also cause I came up under a rapper. You know, I'm from the hood, so I'm gonna talk flagrantly. You know, like, oh, this bitch sucked my dick. I get in the van like after tour,
Right.
the one tour I was telling you about, and he's he's a mixed dude, but he white presenting dude. And he was like, so if a girl gave you head, why do you want to make fun of her? Isn't that a good thing? And if she's into your music, she probably is like pretty cool. So why would you call her a bitch? I know you're not getting a girl every night. You score often, but like, and and then I realized, who are you?
Ooh.
Why wouldn't you want to like make a friend? At least if you're not gonna be her boyfriend, be honest with her and like be kind. But I've been around niggas my whole life.
Yeah.
Bitches ain't shit, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I was like,
destroying the queens.
So now, so I was like, if you do want to have premarital sex, like there's a way to carry yourself where you don't have to be a jerk. And I was like, I'm going to have to show you little boys this before you go on tour with someone else and you getting head on the back of the thing and blah, blah, blah. And like, I had a lot of confusion, still confused, but I was like trying to do right within my wrong.
Yes. Yes.
So I was like,
yes.
So I'm going to go like, they heard me talk to her. I let them hear the whole conversation. I was like, hey, bitch, what you wear? I didn't do none of that. I was like, can I come over? Blah, I let them hear the whole conversation.
Yeah.
And then I told her, I'm paying an $80 cab. I didn't make her aware of that. I just got there how I got there. And then I was going to tell them the story and like see how I kept in touch with her and blah, blah, blah. Because she was already somebody. I was like, I like her energy. Like she's an assertive woman.
Yeah.
I grew up with a very assertive Black woman.
Yes. Yes.
So like, I need an assertive woman in my life. And that turns me on. That speaks to me.
Right.
I got to her room. When I tell you she played me Jack Johnson, which I like never heard in my life.
I never heard Jack Johnson either.
He's a multi-platinum, like, dope guitar, folk.
I was going to say.
Hawaiian singer. He's not Hawaiian, but white dude moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Sells millions of records, headline Coachella. I had no idea. But she played it for me. I was like, I like this.
She's cultured.
Then I was like, man, I was reading this book called The Wandering Taoist. I'll never forget. And I was like, I'll just read this book to you. And we went to sleep. I did not have sex with her.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. I was able to keep and she turned out to be vegan and I was vegan. She didn't drink. I didn't drink. And it just became, I was like, wow. And then of course, in my nigga mind, I turned into something. I'm going to fly you out. And then we go, But even then, the first time we made love was in Carbondale, Illinois in a hotel. And if God wasn't talking to me still, we were leaving and I have to do a dummy check because I'm hyper intelligent in one way and very dumb in common sense ways. I'll lose things. So I was like, all right, when I leave I can't stop myself from being dumb, but I could check up after my dumb ass. Like, so I was like,
I have a checklist.
Yeah.
Did you get your wallet? Did you?
Dummy check. So I had a dummy check and I always check under the bed. And I went under the bed and I thought it was the condom from the night before. And it was a bloody condom from somebody else. I said, oh, like,
cringe.
Yeah, cringe. So I'm like, and I was like, if that wasn't another sign to tell me, like, what are you doing?
Oh.
This is the woman who you need to marry. And it didn't.
Bloody condoms.
I was like you want to use it, like just like you want to use condoms, and you want to. I'm gonna show you what. Like I feel like and I might read too much into it.
No, you reading right.
I was sick recently, and we were somewhere, and I was just thinking about that, and I had to apologize to her. I was like, if I had been right, because then I went through marriage, she went through another bad relationship, and we met back up after I got separated. I wasn't fully divorced yet, and we got back together, and she got pregnant. I never,
because you met her before you met.
Yeah, before I met my ex-wife.
Yes. Mom told me the story.
Okay.
So that's because I'm now putting it together and I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe this isn't the person that. Yes, you met her a while ago.
Yes, my eldest son, who I adopted, was my ex-wife.
Yes, of course.
He's like, you knew her before you knew my mom? I'm like,
yes.
And I was like, yeah. So yeah, we have a whole saga before that. And then we parted ways. We didn't speak for years, and then she heard through the grapevine I was divorced. She hit me up, blah, blah, blah. We got back together, and she's the first woman I ever got pregnant. I had been married for 7 years, having unprotected, great, not great, but whatever. I've been
Pause.
been raw dogging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're married, that's what you do. You raw dog.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Like,
I earned that,
I mean, I can't even go off into that because I got too much foolery in my history.
Yeah. So that's when you're supposed to do it.
Yes, that's the point.
And I guess I told the story. I was using condoms, so I had not experienced a lot because I'm very paranoid. I'm very cerebral.
Right.
So I was not.
It's like, what you doing? We're married now. Take that thing off. Oh, I forgot. I didn't even realize I put it on. He's like, take both of them off. What you got? Why you got two of them? I'm sorry.
That's
sorry.
how careful I was.
I'm your wife now. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And so never got anyone pregnant. I had slip ups before, but never had I'm late, never had a get an abortion, never had a morning after. None of that.
Yeah.
And I got with this woman, and one of the first times we were intimate, she was, but we had already agreed that we were going to be together.
Yeah.
And not that makes it better.
No,
but
it's all good.
But what was I reading?
His love for us.
I was reading. Thank you. I was reading today too. It was like the whatever the one where you get into talking about if you're circumcised, you're not better, and like the law versus the spirit.
Yeah.
In spirit, I was committed.
Yeah.
It was some legal stuff that I had to work out before I could. State of Arizona makes you show up in person to get a divorce every time you file something. So it was a challenge. But so in that process, she got pregnant, and she carried our son a full term, past term, 42 weeks.
Yeah.
And then our son died in labor.
Yeah.
And that was a hard time. And
I remember reaching out to you then. His mom told me.
Yeah,
that was tough.
It was crazy. But I remember being in a backyard in Inglewood, California, and it was like one of these universal podcasts. It was just like, I think you pointed out to me, it may have been you, was like, no matter what you study, nobody says that Jesus didn't exist, and nobody says that Jesus wasn't important. They just don't say he is who he say he was.
That's the common denominator of issue. Yeah.
So I was like, I always kept that in my mind, and I always tell people too. And
I remember when we had that conversation, we were in the driveway at the old house over there on what was the street?
Meadowbrook.
The duplex.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in the driveway. Yeah.
So like those are things over the years that you have, stayed with me because they're true.
Yeah.
And it was just like, so I always tell people too, like, because I'm still, I don't know, I'm never not, I won't say since I got baptized, people like, I don't feel like I've always been saved.
Yeah.
But since I got baptized, but even when I was into other things, like I always fuck with Jesus, like, because everybody does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Buddhists, like, ain't nobody gonna tell you Jesus wasn't that dude. Like, so I'm like, I always wanted to be like, when you say humility, like I always wanted to be like Jesus, even when I wasn't in the Word.
He was dope.
He was just he's a badass. Like, so I'm like, yo, like
he's dope.
So I'm like, okay,
and gangster.
Yeah. AF as the children say.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, there was this universal podcast. They were talking about the universe and this, and one the dude was like, it's like, but the one thing about Christianity, and I might cry, but he's like, it's the only religion where God sacrifices for the people. And then I was like, well, what did he sacrifice? A son.
Everything.
So I'm over here being bitter because I lost my son.
Lost yours, yeah. Ooh,
he gave his son for me.
Ooh.
And I lost it, Steve. I was like, that's it.
Wow. So
if I didn't gain anything through losing my son, I gained eternal salvation.
That's powerful.
Like and I was, and that's how God, like, I was like, when I tell you this wasn't a Christian podcast,
right?
This wasn't a,
right?
Like all these people, like had like Ruslan and Believe, John Gibbs, like Christian rapper, like they come through Air Tucson. I used to let them stay at my house, and I argue the word with them all the time.
You know Ruslan?
Yeah.
I don't know him. I check out his podcast a lot.
Yeah, so I was like, like I argue, me and Ruslan get into it,
Yeah.
And D1, like all these dudes is my homies, Propaganda, Pigeon John, LA Symphony, like I could spot a Christian rapper a mile away, but I was never in for me to get right in my relationship and me be intimate, it took me having the worst thing that ever happened in my life. you know, I done buried niggas and held their daughters and had to drive them to school the next day and move their refrigerator with the babies crying. And like, I done seen and been through some stuff on the street. As you know, and it's funny because as a black man in the hood, like we all been through it.
Right.
As I start to travel, I'm talking to somebody in Germany, and they're like, people have been shot. You know, it's not normal to, if you go to the store. If I live in Inglewood, if I go to the store and there's 50 people in there, somebody in there has been shot, has killed some. Like there's a murderer everywhere.
Somebody getting ready to get shot.
Yeah, like somebody, I can be getting fries. The odds are when I'm getting fries, like there's been at least 3 people who've killed someone that have ate at the same restaurant. Mm-hmm. That's not normal.
One of them have cooked the fries.
Yeah. Like
and didn't get caught. So he's still working in there cooking the fries.
That's but it's normal for us. So I don't take my trauma serious because I can always look at somebody and go, oh shit, both his brothers got shot. Like you know. Right. But when I lost
we're
my
desensitized
son,
to that.
That was something, you know, when you see a woman give birth and they don't want to give her, they didn't give her an epidural, nothing. I gotta look at her and then whisper in her ear, the baby is dead. Not 20 weeks, 42 weeks. Yeah. It's the first time she's ever conceived, never had an abortion. This woman's been vegan since she was 14. Yeah. 10 months, over 10 months, she's carried this child. We built a crib. We bought a house for this child. We were having a home birth. It didn't go right. We got ambulance, and I got to look at her while the midwife and the head doctor, both black women, are in there arguing with each other about methods of birth. An older black woman comes and is like, let me give y'all, before they make her have a C-section, let's go and try to, me and you, try to get this baby out. And she's got to do it. And wow. After that, I've never been lower. And I've never been more sad. And that, when I heard that podcast, and I'm not, you know, I try not to define that experience for my wife because she doesn't see it the same way.
Sure.
And she has every freedom to do it. But for me, that got me more rooted in my relationship. Because I was like, how can I front on the only guy? And he sacrificed the same thing that I had to sacrifice. Or I didn't even, he willingly did something that I can't even think about anymore. Yeah. And watched people. And, you know, like, I didn't get to know my son. I didn't get to, you know, I had to, like, you know, like, that's too, like, holding a dead baby. And they're like, we'll give you 10 minutes before, you know, that you waited to meet. You've had a baby shower. It gave me so much perspective on celebrating before. And what do we celebrate? Like, so much. And then to see her want to do it 3 more times after that. But from the perspective of our Heavenly Father, for him to watch and get to know his son. And see his son do great things and see people, people still shit on him.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Fuck him up and kill him.
Yeah, they did. But he didn't stay dead.
Yeah.
Philip Sharp Skills Jacobs, from Los Angeles, California, native, born and raised there. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm a leadership speaker. I'm an author. Mainly, I'm a creative. And I'm excited and passionate about entrepreneurship and helping people realize their full God-given potential.
Man, bro, that all that you said is crazy. But I gotta say this. So when the 2 thieves were on the cross on either side of Jesus, so both of the thieves are on the crosses either side of him, mocking him. I don't know what happened, but at some point, one of them said, forgive me, and just do me a favor. Remember me when you go into your kingdom. And Jesus said, today, you'll be with me in paradise. I said that to say, your son had life. The scripture is clear that God is the author of life. He breathed life into your son. You didn't get to see it, but you got to feel it because he wasn't dead the whole time. Right? But the coolest part about that, if there's such a thing, is that when you leave here, The scripture says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. When you leave here, you'll get to see him. And all that you didn't get to do when you held him, you'll get to see him. And he'll know who you are. The scripture is clear about our correspondence and our cognitive connection to people when we're there. You will know who your son is. And your son will be there because your son is there now. And we have to hold that hope for a number of reasons, but one of them is because this life that we are living in is so treacherous that life is taken from us so quickly all the time. I just sang at a funeral around the corner from your house a week ago. 50 years old. Organ failure. Drank herself to death. 50. Life is but a vapor. The scripture says life is but a vapor. We're here and then we're gone. However, that is not the end of the story for our faith. That is literally a semicolon. And then the story begins. You'll get an eternity with your son.
Praise God.
Man, I mean, it doesn't change that moment and that feeling.
But that's how God, like, if that was my motivation, like, I'm going to be right with God so I can see my son again.
Whatever.
I'll
take it.
That could have been it, but that wasn't it.
No, it wasn't.
And that was
it wasn't.
The sad and beautiful thing about it. And that's like parts, like the way you describe the scene with the people on the cross, like as I read the Bible, is like stuff like that. Like I didn't know, like the night before he goes to the cross, he asked the disciples, like, "Hey, come sit with you. This shit that I'm about to go
come
through
pray with me."
And they're like, "Nah,
you
you
niggas
good,
asleep.
bro." Yeah, you good. I was like, they went to sleep on them girls. I was like, oh man.
Can you not? He said, "Can you not pray with me for 1 hour?"
Bro, you didn't see this nigga walk on water, make bread. Y'all ain't going to. He said, "This right here that I'm about to have to go through, like past this cup in front, like he's having a moment, and his niggas was not even there."
Nope.
But it wasn't told to me like that, and I didn't need it told to me like that. But I just never read it for myself. I thought that man with the suit standing up there stomping,
doing all that noise making and catching an asthma break.
Yeah,
I
was like,
ain't said 3 words yet.
No, I'm like, take me to or be you. They are in awe of themselves. They are like, when you told me that right now, you told me in a way that was, I can understand it, but I can read too.
Yeah.
But you told, because you were in awe of it. Like, oh, like we talk about music. Oh, wait for this solo. Or did you know such and such played on this record? Like, bro, like when Sheila E., I saw a clip on Jennifer Hudson where she Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. She played.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what?
That's how I feel about the words sometimes. Yeah. When it's with somebody who really feels it, who's not in awe of themselves and how they've mastered the word.
Yeah, no.
But it'd be like, hey, my nigga, yo, this is cold right here.
Because if it's about you, then once I've read the story once and had my own self-grandized, aggrandized epiphany, then it doesn't move me anymore. But every time I think about it, it moves me. You know why? Because we live in a world that's full of rules and laws, and the church is full of rules and laws and all this different stuff, and all these formulas that we're supposed to have to follow. That dude was just talking about Jesus, and something happened in that moment. And he wasn't saying, take me with you. He already had deemed himself, I'm not even worthy to go with him. So just remember me. No, I'm gonna do you one better.
I got you, bro.
I got you.
Even though you was just talking.
I got just that quick. And we know that happened within a night. So it wasn't like they hung on that cross for 3 or 4 days. That was in a night. So what, I don't need to know what triggered. I don't need to know what thought. But something caught him. He said, because he looked at the homie and he said, we both deserve to be up here.
But him?
We guilty. We actually are guilty. This is what we're supposed to be. So he had an epiphany somewhere, but ultimately the mind blower is Jesus didn't say, well, okay, well, I'm gonna need you to quote these 3 scriptures. I'm gonna need you to go get baptized. Let him off. Let him off this thing. I need him to come off this thing because he got some stuff I need him to do so I can take him with me.
Yeah.
Because it's about
You
relationship.
got to do the cubits and the.
It's about relationship. It's about the heart of man. The scripture says the heart of man is desperately wicked. So if the heart turns to God, God is like, come on home, child, because you was mine from the beginning. But free will, I allow you to do what you want.
Because he's a great parent.
So he's not a heart turner. He's a heart receiver. You turn. You choose to turn. For whatever thing
Right.
crystallized for you, you choose to turn. And he says, come on. Today you'll be with me. Man, it blows my mind every time I read it or think about it.
That's why I like building. Like I'm looking at you too. It's just like so much, man. What you like I'm looking at you. You look like Dub C to me in the eyes with the blue hat. When they say like when the criminals or whatever were saying like he don't belong here, that's always how like Crips were, or like in my neighborhood it was Crips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, bro, like you could do this,
but this ain't you.
This ain't you. That's always I never had no problems with no real gangbangers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is the people who are unsure of themselves. And they shouldn't have been in the first
trying
place.
to find somebody they can test.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, but it was always the real. And I was like, and that holds, and there's nothing in the world that doesn't have resonance in the word.
Right.
Like, you know, like, you're not built like this. Like, bro, go on. Like, that moment just like,
yeah.
And that doesn't make me feel tough. And it doesn't make me feel weak. They're not saying you're weak, you can't do this. They're like,
right.
He don't, like, like with the get out the let me out the car, though.
Yeah.
Real niggas will tell you get your ass out the car.
Right.
You know, my homie that was a killer. God bless him, he's gone. Anytime we get into it, I'd be like, all right, we going. He's like,
no, you're not going.
And he would tell us all.
I'm going.
I got this.
Yeah, this ain't y'all.
I got this.
There's a.
And we would hear about it. And
there are
like,
perimeters.
Yeah.
There are limits to this.
And he was also like, you know, the one that was like, I'm gonna take it all for y'all.
Yeah.
I know you could and you would, but I already, you know, I'm already gone.
Yeah.
Don't cross this line and come over here with me.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. That's the trip, man.
And it was like, you know, so like when he needed me when he was gone for his family, I showed up.
That's right.
Because he could just because when I had like that's one thing too, like when rappers would say stuff, he would be like, what you want? I'd be like, no. They don't know. They think I'm skateboarding, you know. He was like, I was like, don't. Because I didn't want to owe him and he doesn't need like
right.
So I was like, all right, man, like, but when he transitioned, I was like, I owe you for all the times you were ready to.
Yeah.
And all the times you never let me.
Yeah. You're still here because of
like
his wisdom.
Yeah. So I don't know where you went, but I hope.
Right.
When they say God have mercy, that's one person I pray for your mercy because you, not just me, you kept a lot of people.
We his.
You know, that's
we his kids with free will. That free will is a tough one. That's tough.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, so
but I wouldn't have it any other way.
No. But if you're a good parent.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's a hard one.
You know, I honestly had, because I'm not a news correspondent. I don't do interviews. I sit down with people who I have a connection with. Now, I did have a episode I did with somebody that I'd never met before, but I was a fan of hers, and I was shocked that she actually responded to my DM, and so I was like, wow. But even that wasn't an interview. It was like if you had seen me and her talking, you'd have thought they know each other. It was just that synergistic. What's the word?
Synergistic.
Synergistic. One of them. Yeah, it was one of them.
We're not drinking.
Right. And so I in my mind, I had visualized our conversation on a whole different plane. But I need you to know, little bro, I am blessed by what you have talked about today. I didn't even see it coming.
You know who did? What did no, sorry. Forget me. What did that guy say? God did.
Yeah.
Because the day you called me or texted me about this, I had a dream and told me to call you.
Wow.
And it had been on my heart for a while because I told you I've been wanting to talk to you
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And so I just got back in the routine where I was driving to my studio on Central,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my time to call people. So I was knocking down calls of people I have been really wanting to talk to. I was like, I got this 20 minutes because as soon as I got the fast track, that helped too because I got 20 minutes where I don't have to be in traffic because I don't like to talk while I'm.
Because you drive down and jump on the 110.
Yeah. So I was like, cool, I'm going to jump on the 110. And that's where I get to have most of my conversations with people. It'd be 10 minutes, but as a father of 4,
that's all. Hey, that's like
so
10 hours.
So I was like, and the night before you called me, it had been on my heart. And then God, and I won't say God because my Muslim homie told me, don't talk to people like that. But
that's not true. The Bible is full of references where God spoke to people.
So yeah.
But we'll get into that later.
So I was like, all right, well, I feel led. I don't know that now. I know why the people in the word say led.
Prompting.
You don't say God talked to me because people could discredit that.
He spoke.
I know where it came from,
and they can't discredit it because it's like your word against mine.
Yeah. So I was like, I was led.
You can call me crazy if you want.
Yes.
But it doesn't change what he said to me.
So I was led.
Yeah.
To call you, and you text me that day, and I was like, I don't usually tell people that because they don't believe me because it sounds crazy.
No, but it doesn't.
But it had been on my heart, and that night, and I was like, okay. And someone else had called me, but I was like, I'm just going to take the first 15 minutes before I get into the studio and call him from there because I talked to somebody else. And I looked down on my phone. I was like, he won't even believe me if I tell him. I was like, and I'm going to wait.
Wow.
Because when you told me you're doing a podcast, I was like, I'll just wait and tell him live.
Yeah.
That's what really happened.
Wow.
Well,
like I said, I had not a vision, but just a thought of what this would be, and I'm so glad that it wasn't. It would have been cool, You've had such a rich musical history. I've had a rich musical history, and it would have been cool. And that maybe we'll get together again and talk about that stuff. But that wasn't what this needed to be today. It just wasn't. Now, but I would be remiss if we don't cover this before I let you go, because you got to go get Bishop.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You have a new album coming out.
Yes.
Your last album.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't you said that before?
No.
No, you haven't?
I said I did my last album with Ninth Wonder.
Oh, well, yeah.
We did the Final Adventure.
Right. Okay. So, but you're still not sure when the album's gonna drop.
Yeah, I gotta be led.
Okay, I feel that.
I gotta be led.
I feel that.
I don't like that as an entrepreneur, as you know. Like, I want to have my schedule
because you're not in control of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So God is really, really teaching me, and I had a song about God on the record, and cause I was like, man, I really like MC Hammer Pray. Like, I grew up on when people are like, well, who's your favorite rapper? E40 is my favorite rapper, but every E40 record has some type of God song or a heartfelt song. He's rude, and when I went to his house, he's
a God dude.
God,
yeah.
Good dad.
I'm a fan,
yeah,
but not a consumer of his music, but I'm a fan. Okay. I've been in one of his music videos though.
Really?
Okay, storytelling, right?
Yeah, let's
just okay. So I went to Oakland for a hair.
What year is it?
Conference. I have to think of what salon I was working at in order to align the year.
90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was 90s because I wasn't.
I just got a picture of what Bay Area you were in.
Yeah,
it's not
I was
Google.
married, but my daughter hadn't been born yet, so I was married the first time. 90. Let's see, I was married in 92. Did you know? Sidebar. Did you know that your mom catered my wedding for free? It's 400 people.
400 people?
Your mama had love for me.
She does, yeah.
So, okay, so 92. So anywhere between, let's see, I had a salon by that time. So I opened the first salon in 93. So somewhere between 93 and 95. Yes, because my best friend went with me and he worked at my shop at the time. So yeah, between 93 and 95. So we went up to the Bay Area for this Dudley Products was having this show. And my mentor, the person, my mom's best friend, who's the one who brought me into the hair business, she was gonna be up there educating, and she told me, "Hey, come, I'll take care of your conference tickets and everything. It'll be a good show." And it was the Bay Area. I love the Bay Area. It was like, cool, we're gonna go. And back then I used to skate a lot. Like World on Wheels was one of my places. So I said, cool. And I had a client who went to Cal Poly, but was from Oakland. And she had just graduated. So I called, so she moved back home. And I called her and I said, hey, Charmaine, I'm coming up there for a show. We should hang out. And I'm bringing my boy with me. And she was like, oh, cool. You know, and she skated. She was like, you bringing your skates? I said, you know I'm bringing my skates. So we had our skates. We get up there. We go to this skating rink in Hayward.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing because I had just put some new wheels on my skates, some wooden wheels. And the floor was wooden. Man, I was slipping and sliding everywhere. And I was like, man, she was like, wow, it's a lot of people here. It's not normally this thick. And I was like, yeah, but there's some other stuff going on. There's some lights and some people. What's happening? So I'm having to go to the bathroom like every 15 minutes and stick my skates in the toilet to get them wet because I could not get no traction. And I was like, I did not come to the Bay Area because I could roll. I did not come to the Bay Area to fall in front of all these niggas. So I was like, every time it felt like I was getting ready to give way, I would head off the floor, go to the bathroom, wet my skates, come back out and roll real tough. And in that time, going back and forth, I kept seeing all these people coming and going, the camera people and all. I was like, what's going on in here? And I said, hey, I asked the skate rental dude, I said, hey, man, what's going on in here? Oh, we're shooting an E40 video. When? He said, we've been shooting it the whole time. What? I'm in an E40 video. That's what's up. So I don't even know what song it is.
I gotta look at it.
Yeah, I don't even know what song it is.
Time.
And I've never like seen the video to even see myself. Oh, there I am right there. But yeah, I was like, that's cool. But you were talking about E40.
Yeah, no, that's just he's a good dude, man. But he like for my album, I wanted to do a song. I never did a song about my faith. I've done songs like I don't say anti-God, but you know.
Yeah.
And then I did a song He's a Christian on the Rap, an album called He's a Christian on the Rapper with
Yeah.
And that was interesting. But I wasn't where I am now with my faith.
Mm.
And so I did this whole song and it got scrapped. And so I've been really, really, really lost as to why God would do that. Like it was like this is a song it's a long song I've been working on 2 years. And I sent it to all the Christian rap homies because I'm like, all right, y'all niggas know if it's corny or not. You know?
Yeah.
And Prop was like, you know, Propaganda was like, hey, that first verse is kind of weak as fuck, bro. Like you got to tighten that up. I was like, cool. Other homies like, chorus weak, you know?
Oh,
all right.
Wow. You sent it to the council.
Yeah, because my producer went back and forth with me on it. He was like,
okay.
Nah, that's not it. That's not it. I love the idea, but it's not it. And I was like, all right. And then we finished the album. He's like, we should go back to that song. So I was like, cool. And I was still, my faith is still like growing. I found a church home. So it's like a thing where I'm like, okay, now like, and my pastor be hitting it. So I'm like, cool. All right. I'm even more, you know, grounded and got some more perspective to share. So boom. Then I had another dude I know that's like, I don't know, what's the camp that they do in the Midwest? Like it's under investigation now. Camp has some weird name, but it's in the Midwest, like a white Christian church camp.
Oh, you talking about Parson? Rod Parsons?
Yeah, it has the name of the church, but you can't find nothing on it now because they had some scandals. So they've like gone through erasing the Wikipedia. Right. But like a dude who came up in them camps and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm mentoring him. I have a open mic and mentorship program in a few states. So in Arkansas, I got down there and met so many Christian rappers that were struggling. And I was just, you know, I ended up being able to give them some perspective.
Mm.
And they end up giving me like, because they've been studying the word in the years I haven't been, but they put it in like
So they're giving you life and you giving them leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, like you don't have to be like XYZ in a Christian rap world because that nigga's corny or that nigga's full of shit. Like I know, you know what I mean? Like do you and don't you're looking up to people who, bruh. But I'm here to tell you that while you here to tell me, because I think it's cool that you've been thinking about how AI fits into Revelations and blah blah blah. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I mean? Like so I'm like cool. I'm like super. So, but one of those dudes, I was like cool. You write the half of my verse. Because we've been talking for 4 years. So you know my struggle with you know my walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead. You could put it in a new like in a way that these kids bounce that I don't bounce.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, you write it. And then I did that and I tried to do his part, but I couldn't bounce it and harmonize. So then I rewrote it. You know, I went through everything with this song and then I'm like, Lord, why you take it from me? It was like a, you know, and I don't want to put the reason out there, but it was a reason that was out of our control. You know, let's just call it a sample clearance. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I was like, God, like, you know, I never gave up on a song. And I was gonna put myself out there as someone who
send it to me. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'll definitely text it to you. And it was, man, it hurt my heart. But and also like, man, you know, not question God like the way I used to question God, but like,
yeah, but look at the journey that song took you on. Look at how you've grown as a result of laboring with that song.
Yeah.
That the Romans 8:28 says, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. All things. That's all of it. So when you spent 4 years on a song trying to dedicate it to him and speak your heart about him, and your heart expanded, your mind expanded, your spirit grew because you workshopped the song. Who even does that? Most people just be like, let's just move on. Even Christian rappers, let's just move on. This ain't it. But you workshopped it. You put a council together for the song.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But you became a better version of you in your relationship with him as you were workshopping that song.
It's that, and that's like humbling. You know what I mean?
Man, that's crazy.
Like, you know, kind of like, God, you just took this away from me. Even like at the last minute, I'm a name drop people because it's like Belief, who used to be in a group of Ruslan called King's Dream, who's an amazing hook writer. I call him. I call D1, and who else? I sent it on and then my homie Jasper Logan who wrote for me. I was like, y'all gotta fix this. We got 24 hours to fix this.
They couldn't do it.
And it's like I thought D1 nailed it, and it just. Then something happened with his computer that he was too sick, like physically ill to get up to send it. And my producer, like, we got to go to mastering. If he can't get me the stems, then it's not going to go to the album. I'm like, oh, wow. And so it just wasn't like.
It was for you. It was for you, man.
Yeah. So
that song was for you.
So I was like, all right. But, you know, but other than that, the album, it's my last album. It's definitely very dad rap. So it's, you know,
life talk,
family, just my thoughts on the business.
Yeah.
You know, we finished the record and I sent it over to a couple of my friends, like, you know, president of one of the most prestigious rap labels in the game. Used to be a rapper. I did a free verse for him back in the day. So I'm blessed that, like, he'll take my call because my producer, his name is 𝐸𝐿𝐵𝐿, like, he's a big deal.
Yeah, the guy.
Yeah, he's produced Chandelier
guy.
Kelly Clarkson's Christmas album, 2 other albums from Kelly. Like, he's, you know, so he's like, yo, like, let's just, you know, all these people, like, send it to him. So I sent it to another dude, you know, one of the dudes that work with me at Warner Brothers, who's now at another label, that's doing really well. And not indie label. I sent it to these people. Like, someone got back. I sent it to DJ A-Track, who, you know, used to be Kanye's DJ, but he has a label called Fool's Gold. So let's try all these things, and just, you know, I was like, because I just wanted to put it out myself. I wanted to end it and independently, not
God may have another plan.
Yeah, that's what I said. So God may have another plan. So let's try it. You don't want to limit him by not.
Yeah.
So that then I get real funny because my producer, my friend, he's Jewish, and so then I do the Bible app, but I learned because of the hooting and hollering, a nigga take one verse and harp on it for 30 minutes. So when I get that one verse, I never want to be that dude. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the whole chapter at least to give me some context.
And
if
content.
I can't read the whole book, I'll read
Yeah.
the whole chapter. So I was like, cool, this is a great scripture, but I always go and make myself before I go to bed read the whole chapter for at least if I could do that. And the chapter was sound. His name is Jesse, and it's like Jesse will lead the people. Blah blah blah. So I was like, all right. I'm telling him I don't want to go ask my industry friends for no favors, but Jesse. And then the guy who really helps me navigate my in the not-for-profit world with my open mic mentorship program, Jesse. So I was like, all right, I got two Jessies that are really running my life right now.
Right. But let them run it.
Yeah. So
run, Jesse, run.
As soon as I started.
See, you old enough to know that reference. People be like, what's that? Run, Jesse, run. Like, you can run, Jesse.
I said, all right, Jesse, you got it. I'm going to call these people. They all shot me down. And I was like, all right. And now, these are people I have a relationship kindly, respectfully. Like I called a president, or let's just say I called a president of Atlantic Records and he picked up my call.
Right.
I don't care if you listen to the record, like the record or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I shot my shot with a bunch of different labels and major labels. Nobody was interested. So I was like, all right, God, humble me. I was like, all right, why did you have me reach out in the first place? And I was like, I have no idea. But so I don't like it. It makes me think about like how good it is. Like I said, how much of it is for me, how much it is for I would hope that it is a classic album. I would hope that it's my biggest record ever. And just to win. And like we didn't talk about but like I've been adjacent to so much greatness.
Sure. Yeah.
That is frustrating.
That's honestly, and I know that your schedule is crazy, and I know you're getting ready to go on tour. So perhaps we can pull this off this way. Perhaps we can part 2 this virtually.
Yeah. Because
that really is a conversation that I want us to have, because I share that adjacence. And I'm left with something that I believe God has spoken to my heart about it all, but it still doesn't, I still haven't made total peace with it yet. I'm still processing the peace part. And it's a conversation, like what we were talking about earlier, like I'm gonna name drop when we were talking about 𝐾𝐨. Shout out to 𝐾𝐨. There are so many people that I was right there with that I should have been somewhere else.
Yeah, like why?
And it's like, wow, this is weird. And then I won't even get off into the whole, I'm actually even more talented than him and her. So I won't even get off into that. So it's just, we need, we need to have that.
It has to be more frustrating for you.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's levels to sing. Rap doesn't.
Yeah.
You could say somebody rap better than somebody. But
but it's really about what they hook. What the hook was hitting for, what the beat was hitting.
Yeah. So
the one liner that they hit that was that cold. That line was cold.
Yeah.
But singing, it's different.
And I need too. So it's like, it's different. Singing, like you have to train. Like somebody can get in the room and go, like I love Walker.
I mean, you can
Walker go bow, 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 busting at him. And it's like, wow, that's amazing.
You can say I turn them corners on a little whoa, and then you get an $8 million record deal.
And then I can listen to it and I can't deny it.
It's like,
you know what I mean? But if somebody got there and sang off pitch, nobody going for it.
Right.
You have to have an ear. You have to have.
No, you have to have the right computer.
For me, it's easy to swallow. Like
you gotta have the right computer software.
Yeah, now that's something that changed with your industry,
man. So we need to circle back, and maybe we'll do it while you're on the road, but we'll do it because that's a conversation we need to have.
And that I guess too is also you propose this, and I don't want to step on that kill that idea because it was me and 2 other brothers that you wanted to have at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I think would be a powerful.
Yes.
Big, if we could
Oh
all do
man.
at the same time.
Man. Because there's so many things that still to talk about, especially with Soup. And Soup and John Gibson are like this.
Okay.
They're like tight. And Soup for Christian rap, Soup is the man.
If they give him his, if and when they give him his.
Yeah.
Because I meet so many Christian rappers, and I'm like, you don't know Michael Peace, you don't know Idol King, you don't know 12 Tribe, like you don't know like the people that paved the way for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bruh, like this is when I was going to. They're like, you know Christian rap, like we're like, Tunnel Rats, you know who LPG? I was like, yeah, I know all this stuff.
And for you, just like what we was talking about before we started recording, how you've done all these things for all these people, Soup had done so much for all of these people. And it's like, it's y'all's parallels is crazy. And it's like, what? So yeah, man, look.
But that's what I think that it was. I was talking to a brother the other night who DM'd me, and he's just getting solid with his relationship, coming from trapping, and he's a rapper asking for more advice. He's like, I hit him. I look at his Instagram. I'm like, oh, what does he want to talk to me for? Most of these dudes don't think I have anything to offer them, but he's right for hitting me up. I think I can help him. Yeah. Or give him some perspective. I was like, what? And then, you can look at his page. It's like gold teeth and like
yeah.
And he said,
Memphis out.
I said, yeah. So I said, what time is good for you to talk? He said, oh man, I'll call you. I got Bible study. I was like,
he down there rocking with Toby.
And I was like, bro, but in the way like where my walk is, was like, I still say like there's a song on this record where like, all I do is praise God and raise these boys. Real Christians don't curse. You can say that noise. My kids cuss and my rap's not clean, but cops killing blacks now. That's obscene. I keep my eye on the Vatican and new vaccines. Like, yeah, my walk is different. I'm not about to. Like I tell D1 all the time, like you could not cuss if you want to. Yeah, but I haven't. Even my pastor got onto it. Like when you like that's when people say like you're in the right church when you feel like the pastor talking to you. I know you're not talking to me, right. But even he was like, I cuss, but I'm gonna stop cussing this year too. Like we got to the New Year's service, and I was like, and then when I talked to the brother, I was like, oh, I wouldn't think that you were in the word because you said this. He's like, yeah, but God just hasn't taken that from us yet. But if we keep walking to him, who knows where he'll bring us? But right now, I was like, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Because I've
been in the word a long time, and I will cuss.
Yeah, so I was like, and I was like,
I don't even apologize for it.
Yeah, I was so proud, and I was like, like that's like, like this bastardized tongue. Like I have a friend that's an English teacher. She's older. She's 70. She might be 80 something. And we argue all the time. She's like, you just don't get on stage and call people motherfuckers. And I was like, she's like, you say motherfuckers make some motherfucking noise. Like, why do you have to? And I'm like, this language, you're a white woman. Like this their language. I have no respect for this. This language was forced into my mouth. So every word I speak in English is a curse word to me. Woo. And then the way they perverted, when I got really into the word, I'm like, what? Excuse my friend, what the fuck was these niggas talking about? Christianity is the white man's religion. How is it the white man's religion?
Know white people in the Bible.
Yeah.
Where they get that from?
And even if it was white, the first convert was Abyssinian. And that means black. Right. With your African 𝐾𝐨𝐽 Abyssinia, not Ethiopia ass. So So even if it was all white people, the first convert. Yep. And I went on a mission trip to Ethiopia and I went with some white people and I had to tell them, I was like, I got fed up. I was like, you are not bringing Jesus here.
I remember that. I remember we talked about that.
I was like, y'all got to stop.
Yeah. And
they're like, what do you mean? I was like, the Ark of the Covenant, Samson, like the Queen of Sheba, that's Ethiopia, bro. Yes. The Ark of the Covenant is here.
Yes. Solomon couldn't do nothing but write a whole book about her.
I was like, bro.
So over crazy. He had 700 wives, 300 concubines, but the one he wanted was the one he couldn't have, so he wrote a book about her. Song of Solomon is all about Queen Sheba.
I'm like, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, and I was like, but certain rappers, Islamic rappers, would have me believe that this is the white man's religion because you guys did so much work in the Queen's English to destroy this book and pervert it. Yeah. Never once have they, still to this day, there's not an English translation of the Amharic Bible. And that was King Haile Selassie's mission. Like, when I get into where I do love Rastas, because their respect for him.
Yeah.
But
they deified him.
But he was like,
and that was where they went wrong.
He was like, it's not me, it's him.
Yeah.
So once again, I told him, like, I fuck with Haile Selassie heavy.
They wasn't sober enough, so they deified him.
So I'm like, man. And they were also receiving it in an oppressed manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yes. The only king we knew was Martin Luther King.
Right.
He was the actual king that prophesied the coming of the Second World War. King of the only country to never be conquered by. Nelson Mandela went to study with him to learn. Like, he is an amazing man.
Yeah.
You know, if you can work through the deifying of some people.
Right.
And I accept he's so dope. I'm like, why wouldn't you think he was God? I'm not going to argue with you, bro.
Right.
I'm going to say, I don't share the same belief, but I'm not going to hold you like, this man is phenomenal.
That's right.
You know, Dr. King was amazing.
He belonged to him too.
Yes. Like, you know, because
another one of his kids.
As I get older, a child of God.
Another one of his kids.
When the black people say he called you everything but a child of God.
Right. Another one of his kids.
But he, you know, like, when I grew up with the Rastas, you know, it resonated with me. But they were always like, oh, him Imperial Majesty, I'm gonna walk with lions. Like, ain't no nigga. And then it took Ab-Soul, who's like, you know, one of the greatest rappers ever. But I took him on tour, and like, they would ask me, like, a lot of those kids coming up would ask me, I'll be telling them, like, you're gonna get everything from Dre and all the famous Snoop, and they'll give you the game on the industry and the streets. If you have any questions about anything, there's Islam, 5%er, Jesus, like, I look like I am, you know, artsy fartsy, skateboarding, Basquiat, all that. I'm your guy. So we would be on. I took him on his first tour, and he was like, "What's Rastafari?" I'm like, "Oh, bro." So I was like, "Cool." Boom, boom, boom. And he came back like these kids do, studying YouTube, like, boom, show me this. And it was a video of Haile Selassie, black and white film, with lions in his backyard, just walking, not on leashes. I said, "Oh, the Rasta niggas wasn't lying.
No,
they wasn't high." Then when I got to Ethiopia, the people said, "You got to go to Shashamani." They would tell me, "Oh, him Imperial Majesty leave land for I and I. We go anytime you want to go to Ethiopia, you have land." And I'm like, "You're like, our king left land for you." I was like, "Oh, these niggas wasn't joking."
Wow.
And this dude is really him. So I ended up sponsoring 3 kids to go to school there.
Wow.
And I was like, this is stuff I learned on Vernon and whatever in the hood, buying weed from old Rasta. And, you know, him and Imperial Majesty make land for I and I. And I'm like, whatever, nigga. Let me buy these couple ounces and I'm, you know. But it was real. And I was like, that man really walked.
Yeah.
The walk. And never once did he show me a dreadlock or smoke any weed to my knowledge. But he did the stuff he really did do. Why wouldn't you think that? And people, and that's a part of the system that works. Like, they discredit us.
Sure.
So, till I discredit my own elders in my, you know, in my, because I still don't. If it wasn't for Rasta, I would have strayed further from the word. Because Rasta didn't take the Bible very serious. You know, they may believe something that I don't believe about His Imperial Majesty, but I still don't. Same thing with like Farrakhan. I rarely don't say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or if I say the Prophet Muhammad, I say peace be upon he. Like, I'm gonna
that's respectful.
Yeah,
that's respectful.
So I'm like, you know, I disagree with black men learning to disagree without being disrespectful is like so key. And there's so much to learn. Like, I've learned stuff from Farrakhan. I've learned stuff from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that saved my life. The Rastas and all that, you know, but I know where my relationship lies. And that doesn't make me better than you.
Nope.
It holds me to a higher standard. That's why I used to tell Ruslan and all them, all the rappers, I'm not a Christian rapper. I'm like, all right. You know, I was like, and they were like, you know, like, why don't, you know, such and such doesn't have to be a Muslim rapper. And I'm like, right. He's like, but when you say a Christian rapper, it's all this stuff. And I was like, imagine the power in the name of your savior. If they say the name of their stuff and it doesn't hold them to a higher standard, but you won't say the name of your stuff and people expect something from you because it's in the name of Jesus. And I respect your humility in saying, I can't live up to that all the time.
Right.
If that's your thing. You know?
None of us can.
That's the thing too. So the more I started to judge my Christian rapper, you know, I was on Rap Zone. I talk shit. I'm like, you know, But I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it why you wouldn't. If that's your reason. If your reason is you don't feel you'll be accepted by the world or you want to have more worldly success, so you do that, and a lot of them be on that.
Heart of man, desperately wicked. At Mike Henry's Barbecue Company, we are passionate about delivering not just the best food, but the best experience. Nestled in the heart of Rancho Cucamonga, our mission is to treat every guest like family, offering mouth-watering barbecue that's slow cooked to perfection and served with a smile. From our tender brisket to our savory ribs, each dish is crafted with love and attention to detail. Our dedicated team goes the extra mile to ensure every visit is memorable, blending friendly, attentive service with a warm, inviting atmosphere. At Mike Henry's Barbecue Company, we don't just serve food, we serve happiness.
But I don't judge. But like,
Right, right. No, we have goals and ambitions and all that.
Yeah.
Don't even let me take you down that road because that's a whole nother hour.
Yeah, that's anyway. I would like to have that conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna
with
have
the
it.
three brothers, and then we can have another. But for this record, I'm not doing any press. It's my first record. I never wanted to do press, and I feel like podcasts are so unnatural because never in the history of humanity have two men or any group of men or women sat down and talked for hours and had to be recorded and held at that word. Because the heart is what? You know, like
Desperate.
so like eventually something's gonna slip out. Somebody's gonna take a clip of it and
Yeah.
you know, I've been on friends of mine shows and they take the clip and I'm like, why would you choose that? Oh, because you want the likes.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like cool. I do a podcast every week and I tell everything about my life. I'm going through every album. It's called Best Rapper in LA Podcast. I go off. All the clickbait is in there, but I'm not gonna put it out.
You don't use it.
My producer's like, if you just put this clip where you said this, it go crazy. I'm like, no. I'm not gonna make the journalist because all the journalists are gonna do is repost it. You know, when this Drake and Kendrick thing started, I said, I'm scared. And I put that on the internet. And I was like, because God put it on my heart. And I felt I like to stay out of all that stuff. But right when it started, what I learned is like, I'm not tough enough to judge. No, there's real niggas on every side of everything.
Yeah.
And especially when you have two very talented, rich, and successful niggas, like, whew. And I love both of those dudes. I know both of them have heard and like have an affinity for my music. So I'm like, these are like little bros. Like, it's been, you know, it had to happen, but I'm like, now it's happening. Things that are being said,
things
are scary because I respect you as a man and I respect you as a man.
They've gotten far though.
And I'm like, all right. But what I always say is like, I'm really proud of them. For whatever I'm not proud of is that because in my era, the two biggest rappers went at it and we lost.
Both of them.
But praise God, both of them young men are still here. And, you know, praying on the situation comes to some resolve or each of them find
because now, unlike the last two, the beef has become commercialized. We're celebrating the beef now. We didn't celebrate the beef the last time. It divided literally two coasts. But this time we're celebrating it. And we're using it to send our own messages to people. We've weaponized the beef. And that's not good.
I'm reserving judgment.
I'm gonna just say that. It's not good because we've seen, well, look, history is about repetition. We've seen this before. And while those two might leave unscathed, the weaponization of anything like that always leaves death and destruction somewhere.
Yeah. I'm like, and I'm hoping that, you know, like I said, you never know the master plan.
Yeah.
You know, like all things
work together, brother.
So that's why I don't judge it. I just let it, you know, but at first I felt like I was like, everybody's getting excited.
Yeah.
I've seen this before. And now like, I'm not idolizing the two people involved.
Right.
I really love and respect both people involved.
Yeah.
And not a respect like that comes from, I love their music. I respect, because I know any person in this industry that achieves any type of success busted their ass.
Especially now.
Nobody has it easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I think about with black people in general. Like, you know how somebody else has it. How dare you make that other black person's life more difficult?
Yeah.
That's
tough. That's tough.
You know, like, so when it comes to rappers, whether you black, white, or any artist, I don't want to shit on you.
Right.
And I don't want you to have any. I wish you the utmost peace
Right.
because, especially now on social media, like I always tell people too. When I saw Ice Cube at the Fairplex at the LA County Fair,
Mhm.
I was dressed like him. Had the hat I got from Crenshaw Swap Meet with the hat over the hat, hood over the hat. He walked by me. I was scared to death. I wasn't about to tweet your last album sucked or
Yeah.
people get like artists now deal with so much more.
Yeah.
I believe that man was a cop killer, gangbanger. Like the Jerry Curl came this way. I was like we talking about I thought my stepdaddy walked up by me. Like I was scared to death
That's funny.
of somebody I idolized. And now that fear or respect isn't there anymore. So these young men deal with so much.
Yeah.
So I was just scared. I was like, bro, I'm scared. And I posted that on my Instagram and every platform ran with it. Now let me put out a new song.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm not doing nobody's podcast. I'm not posting any genuine feelings about anything. You want to hear it? You can listen to my podcast where I talk about it. And if you want to, at least like back in the day, like you're a journalist, you dug through my podcast and pulled something out. I could respect that.
Right.
But just going on my Instagram and reposting something and calling it news, Murs is scared. Of what? And that's what I tell people. I'm like, bro, I'm more in the hood than I don't never see. Like I'm at this park with my kids in the hood. My kids play public sports in a black neighborhood. My family has had a cleaners on Central and Adams
For decades.
I've been in the hood my whole life, and I ain't never had to leave. I don't say nothing. I hope that nobody want to come get me over, and if they can, they could come get me, cause I'm with him. Like,
Yeah.
what? So I was like, I'm scared. I'm scared for the culture. I'm scared
Yeah.
for the
And
lives-
that's why I say what I say, because I share that. I share that with
like,
you.
yeah, but the sensation. So I was like, I'm not doing no podcast. I just had a label call me today that said they were interested in partnering with the record, and I was like, cool, but and they're like, the offer was like, what any other? I was like, we can get you PR, and like, when you can go do Sway, I'm not talking to nobody.
You
I
wouldn't
wanted
do
to talk-
Sway?
I've done Sway a lot. Sway has held more of my children than niggas I rap with for years.
I don't know him, but he's good. He seems like he's a good dude.
Yeah. I love Sway,
Yeah.
but I don't want to talk to nobody. Like, this is my last record.
But this is your last one, bro.
Yeah.
There's so many people who want to hear. First of all, they want to hear why this is your last one. They want to hear how that feels. They want to hear. Is it really your last one? Is there anything that could bring you back? Because you were clear. You talked about it on IG, and you talked about, well, I'll still do this and that, but as far as this, I'm done, and this, I'm done. It's like they want to know. You got a fan base.
But we live in an age where like real journalism to me has gone by the wayside.
Oh yeah, that doesn't
not to say
exist.
that Sway isn't a real journalist.
Yeah, but he's a digital journalist,
Yeah.
so it's different.
And I've talked to him enough over. Like, if you don't, what's this? If you don't know, I'm like, and it's all on the album, and it's all on my podcast.
Yeah.
But for you are somebody that this is a safe space, and maybe I know God is working. I know for a fact God is working through you.
I feel honored
because God has worked through you since
feel
I was
very, very honored.
10 years old till now.
Yeah.
For 36 years, God has worked through you. So what we talk about, if anything slips out or comes out, is him, because there's two men I know that are really rooted in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I can't, even though I can hear somebody and say like, oh, you're a Christian podcast. I'm like, I don't know you, nigga. Like, I know you, but I know you.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
yes.
even there's people I know, but they're not rooted in the word. I don't want to sit and talk with you because you're going to bring something out of me that's,
You're going to bring that other side.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. I want to continue to be able to show up at all my kids' game. And when I think about, like, I've been adjacent to so much greatness, I can go to the grocery store with my kids.
Yes. But now people will still know you though.
Yeah.
Because the dude did clearly walk up and ask for your autograph when we were sitting and having lunch.
But and that fades over time.
Yeah,
it's not like it used to be. But also too, when they do, it's not
well, they see you're common.
Yeah.
So they've seen you before. That ain't their first time seeing you.
Yeah, and that's what, like, shout out to Del the Funky Homo Sapien. When I met him when I was young, I was enamored with him. Still am. I like, he's like, him was like blood, like, everybody would say blood, like, whenever you stop doing normal stuff, that's when you stop doing normal stuff, blood. And I was like, and I never forgot that. And then I read a story about like Robert De Niro taking the train, like, if people see you, and I said, if I said anything to make you want to beat me up, I'm sorry. But I don't feel like I've ever, like, I may say cuz or something in a song, but I'm like, my bro, did I say I was from any hood? Or like, I just been around culture and like, you know what I mean? Like, so when me and my brother talk, this is how we talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not disrespectful to Bloods, or I don't, and if and someone told me like, well, you say that, then you can't. I'm like, if I said it to you, black man, and that offends you, I will apologize. Because if I had a problem with you over that word, then I would be a Crip, and I'm not. But like kids on the East Coast, they can say God, son, yo, like, it's just a parlance. You grew up. If you grew up around somebody, you grew up, And I wasn't a square. Like I said, my mama left us outside, not in neglect, but she had to provide. Yeah. So I grew up outside. I grew up selling weed. I grew up shooting dice. I grew up around criminals. My daddy's a criminal. My stepfather a criminal. Like, and when I talk to these kids, I want them to be able to relate. I don't want to give them, some stale.
Oh, you mean the perfect version?
Yeah.
Give them
or the sterile gang version. Yeah. I'm a gangster, but where are you from? Or like, what did you grow up adjacent to? Like, I appreciate, like you said, we talk, like, if you really live that, I really respect that. I gotta respect, like, there's so many, I don't want to name people's names, but so I guess I don't want no problems. And when we think about like why we've been adjacent, is because you've raised great children and you've been able to, like, I think about some of my friends, I'm like, man, you would love to come out and see your nephews play ball, but it would be a whole thing. I told D1 recently, I was like, you can't come to church with me. He went to my granddaddy's church with me, and I was like, bro, now? Because we've been friends since his dress was short. And my dress was when I didn't have no dreads. That's how long. We have a movie called Mall Dogs, if anybody. And then I know have a lot of faith-based because no cursing in it, because D1 wouldn't allow no cursing in the movie. But we've been friends since I was bald. Okay. I had a fade. The last time I had a fade, so over 10 years. And I told him, I was like, I can't come to church. I can only imagine what it's like going to church with you now. I was like, I want you to hear my pastor. I want you to come to church with me, but I'm good, bro. Because then you're going to mess it up for me, because then every week I'm going to get ass. Because, he's light-skinned with long hair. I brought my cousin. You didn't bring it home. Like, that was funny. When he went to my grandfather's church on King, it's in the hood. It's like a older, smaller congregation. Still in. I was like, man, bro, I was like, that was when he had 100,000 Instagram followers. Now he got 600,000.
Right? Yeah, he's blown up.
So like, I feel for my friends. And then also I went through that when I was on MTV every 30 minutes. Like, when I call D1 now, he's walking to the airport. Everybody, hey brother, hey, could you, Yeah. And it's great and it's a blessing, but there's a lot of. When I start to get envious or bitter, I'm like, man, my friends are really going through it on the other side of this. Yeah. And do I have the temperament to do that? Because someone I'm talking to my kids, I'm like, can't you see?
Be careful now.
Yeah.
See, you trying to pull that? You trying to make me come out of myself like
exactly.
James Brown say.
I'm not that. And so I was like, maybe I'm not as strong as my friends, and God blessed me by giving me what He gave me, and I need to focus on instead of being better, being grateful. Yeah. Like and my kids can see that my work is respected. Yeah. But I feel like I get the plumber handshake. Like, oh, that man came to my house one time and fixed my toilet. Like, that's the kind of music I'm at. People are like, when my brother died, you really got me through. When I broke up with my girlfriend, it's a genuine, it's not like fame. Oh, I love your lyrical wordplay. Like, nobody's like, right. When you said this line, like,
although LA is still one of my favorite hip hop songs of any artist.
But it's like it's not a braggadocio. It's not. There's no deep metaphors in there.
But it should have been a classic.
Classic, yeah.
It's. I mean that. Yeah, we got to wrap this up because I could talk an hour just about that song and what I thought it was going to become, and I was so disappointed that it didn't, because it was just.
I got pulled out of myself. Halfway before the record even came out, I had already gone in the label with a crowbar and chased people.
Yeah, he was doing way out stuff, turning tables over, and
he
was acting like Jesus.
But like who? Yeah, exactly. Like still Christ-like.
He said, "All right, y'all, look, this is Life Interrupts Us. This is my little brother Murs, and I gotta let him go because he gotta go pick up his son." And we gotta have
I was
part
trying
two
to talk
though.
to was it Kaylin?
Kaylin?
To Kaylin. I was trying to talk to you. Showed up, Kaylin.
See, Kaylin? Hey, we love y'all. Hey, man, I love you, man.
I love you
I'm
too,
just glad
brother.
you came.
I love
I'm
you.
glad you came. We out.